So, whenever we have a passage with Hamlet in it, it's always useful to take his temperature to work out where he is on his journey from dithering, over intellectualizing, delayer, procrastinator, even to man of action. And I'm going to try to sell you this section in particular as a man of action bit. And the reason why I say that is because you can almost list the very many practical problems he sorts out. One, advising his mother not to continue consorting sexually with the king. Two, telling his mother, even if she is sexually consorting with the king, to conceal the fact that he is pretending to be mad. Three, what he's going to do with Polonius's body and how much or little he cares about the revenge that will follow. Four, getting rid of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern on his trip to England. And that is really quite a lot for a man who previously has found many obstacles to what he's going to do, including whether or not the king was praying. And I would say, looking at all of those as a whole, I think there's a kind of practicality, a kind of power even, that comes from his new decisiveness. Now, that power takes one paragraph, one way of addressing this power is the very specific power he can now exercise over his mother. When we looked at the previous section of this scene, we were looking at the many imperatives that he can use. And now he's full of wise words and wise saws, almost to the point, dare I say, of being a little bit irritating. Shakespeare, noticing, I would suggest, that this is a strange development, makes a point of almost putting it into the script. And when you are desirous to be blessed, he says to his mother, when you are, in quite a Roman Catholic way, when you are in a state of grace enough to accept forgiveness, our blessing beg of you. Why would he beg blessing of her when she is so stained, so tainted in his eyes? Well, after all, he is she is his mother, and that loyalty explains really quite a lot. There's that strange role reversal, almost as if Hamlet is acknowledging, yes, I know it's odd that I should be telling you these things, but that is the way of it, and I do recognize that I want your blessing too. Almost in the sense of I want your blessing so that I can tell you these things. Now, what things are they? Well, it's worth us just looking at the way in which he tells her what to do. Assume, he says, assume a virtue if you have it not. Even if you are not virtuous, assume it. Virtue, he's previously used as a kind of abstraction, almost like a person. And here it is a virtue, almost as if it's a part of her. Now here, broadly, his advice is, and again he personifies custom as a monster, although it's going to help us here, and use, as in getting used to a thing. These are kind of abstractions, abstract nouns. And what he means by it is that his mother should become used to abstaining. She should become used to not sleeping with the king. Refrain tonight, yet another imperative, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence, the next more easy. And he's lecturing her about this chain of events. For use can almost can change the stamp of nature. And I can't resist pointing out that I think Shakespeare's picking up here a piece of advice from Ovid's The Cures for Love. Seem what you're not, says Ovid. Pretend your rage is ended, and soon you'll be the way that you intended. Now, what's strange about this is that Hamlet has yet another piece of advice for his mother, and it's to conceal the fact that he is pretending to be mad. I know that sounds like a double negative and a double bluff. It is. Now, there's something very strange about the way in which Hamlet asks his mother to do that. Especially bizarre since he's just told her to refrain and to be abstinent. But look at the way in which Hamlet advises his mother. Um, he says, you're probably going to be making out with the king. Don't put it like that. You're going to be making out with the king, and he will be trying to seduce you. And at those moments, do not please be tempted to say that I am pretending to be mad, that I am mad in craft. That quite useful phrase, very quick to write down. But look at the language. Hamlet, not for the first time, with the enseamed bed, the nasty sty, the incestuous sheets, all of those words. He's actually imagining a kind of pre-sexual dalliance here. Let the bloat king, that's how much he likes him, bloat king, tempt you again to bed. So if that happens, that doesn't mean please allow him to. That means assuming that the bloat king is doing that. Pinch wanton in your cheek, call you his mouse. So you are going to be able to put on a kind of, you're going to make it all the more convincing by going along with him. And don't we love this bit? And let him for a pair of reachy kisses. That means that the king has smelly breath. He's got even that far in imagining what it's like for them to be intimate. Or paddling in your neck with his damned fingers. Can't resist that little epithet here, that little pre-modified fingers. Yeah, they're a part of the king, and they're damned like the rest of him. But don't reveal who I am. The queen now, in very, it sounds ridiculous to say that this is really Shakespearean language, but it's exactly like, it's like a couple of things. One is, you may know that sonnet, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? And it ends with the lines, so long as men have breath and eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. I'm mentioning that partly because it's got that deep quality of a vow to it. It also picks up on the way in which the king was failing to be reverent and failing to pray, that his words went up, but his thoughts stayed below. Here the queen is saying, if words be made of breath and breath of life, she's solemnizing just how important it is to be saying these words. I have no life to breathe what thou hast said to me. This is a very solemn vow. And to be fair to the Queen Gertrude, in the very next scene, she honours that vow. And she even over-eggs it to say just how distracted Hamlet is. Now, there are other concerns here, and they are that Hamlet now has a kind of resolve. Not only does he have a plan for how to deal with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, I will trust whom I will trust as I with adders fanged. He shall hoist them with their own petard. He will make them almost punished by the same thing that they do. And that's exactly what happens. As you know, he switches the warrants for his execution and makes it theirs instead. One last point to make is about Polonius, and it's this: heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this, and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. He's suddenly in tune with the necessities of revenge, and very clearly, I think, aware that he too will be avenged. That is to say, he knows that he set the same train in motion and will perhaps suffer at the sword of Laertes. Now, this, I think, anticipates that moment, that climactic moment of resolution when Hamlet contemplates death, wondering if and when it will come. And he says, if it is not to come, then 'tis now, and reasons through it that way. And then, having gone through all of that, finally says, let be.